Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The feature race at Del Mar on Friday is the Real Good Deal Stakes. It's race number 6 for Calibred 3-year-olds going 7/8 of a mile. Let's take a look at this field. It is a competitive group, and there are two fascinating horses in here on paper. The number 2, Slow Down Andy, is a multiple graded stakes winner, cutting back in distance. And the 9, Big City Lights, was an absolutely brilliant 2-year-old coming off of a lengthy layoff and stretching out to 7/8. It's a nice little matchup between those two, but they're not the only two horses in the race by far.
Yeah, true enough. There are some other good horses in here too. The 2 and the 9, I guess, in some ways, kind of stand out in here. I don't mind the 2 cutting back in distance at all for this race, Dan. Very interested to see what we get from Big City Lights going 7 off the long layoff. He was awful good as a 2-year-old.
The number 1, Phineas, has done some good work at Del Mar in his career. 3 starts at Del Mar, a second place finish to Papa Cap, runner up the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in the Best Pal, second in the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity to Pinehurst, and then he won the Golden State Juvenile going 7/8 last year. Now, he hasn't reached the winner's circle this year. He is a little bit fresh coming into this race. My main concern with Phineas, Mike, is he doesn't break very well from the gate, and he's down inside.
Yeah, I don't like those things either. I do think there's a chance he could, finally take a step forward in this race, which he's going to have to do. I really did like his Golden State Juvenile win over this track and distance last November. I thought he ran really well that day. I can't say that I've liked his races since then. He was particularly bad, I thought, the last time we saw him in the Echo Eddie. I wonder if he can rebound.
Let's throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector and see where Phineas is going to be, and we see he is near the back of the pack. Creative Peak is a horse with a bit of upside. He has speed. If Big City Lights shows the speed he did at 2, though, he might be right on the lead from the get-go.
Yeah, that's how I looked at the race. I mean, it just feels like coming off this layoff, showing up with some fast works, that horse is probably going to be on the lead.
Phineas is a horse that, is going to need a little bit of pace up front. I do think this layoff works for him. They ran him 10 times in a row, a lot of hard races as a 2-year-old. I think this break's going to do him a world of good.
Yeah, that's a good point, and he probably needed the break, especially after when you go back and look at the Echo Eddie, where he just, for whatever reason, didn't pick his feet up that day. They stopped on him. They come right back in this race. He does feel like a nice fit, although he probably has to improve a little bit against this field.
Phineas beat this 2, Slow Down Andy, in the Golden State Juvenile. Slow Down Andy went on to do some really nice things. A couple of graded stakes wins. He beat a good one in Messier in the Los Alamitos Futurity. 2 back in the Sunland Derby. It was a very, very fast pace that he was contesting. He was better than those horses. And then his most recent start, the Los Alamitos Derby, another hard-fought race. Let's watch Slow Down Andy. Part of the again in this spot. He's down towards the inside. Seems a little bit green in upper stretch. He's going to kind of drift in a little bit. He'll right the ship. He'll end up finishing second. The blinkers come off for the cut back in distance. I don't mind him cutting back in distance. I think it's going to work out for him.
Yeah, I like him cutting back for this race too. It's sort of interesting to watch him run through the stretch of this race, though, Dan, because he's had that habit of sort of gawking at the stands in some of his races, and it seems like the blinkers didn't really help with that too much. They're going to take him off here. Cutting back's a good thing for this horse. He's not slow early. There's just a lot to like, especially when you realize that he's catching Big City Lights off the long layoff.
The number 3, Straight Up G, won the prep for the Sunland Derby at Sunland Park. The Mind That Bird Derby, when able to shake loose on the lead. Well, that wasn't the case in the Sunland Derby. They went after this horse early and often. He paid the price. Now he returns, cutting back in distance as a gelding.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I suppose cutting back could also work for this horse. He is a new gelding. He gets a trainer change here. Maybe at the end of the day, he's just going to be a little better going shorter. He certainly started out his career like he was going to be okay.
Another barn change for the 4, Smuggler's Run, who attracts Mike Smith. But this is a horse who's a bit underrated. He ran well on the turf last time out in the Snow Chief, but I think he might be a dirt sprinter. He's 2 for 2 lifetime on the main track, including this performance, the Echo Eddie sprinting on April the 9th at Santa Anita. And as you see, as the favorite, he has already made the lead, and he is on his way.
Yeah, I thought he was really good in here. They have spent most of his career, sprinting him or racing him on the turf. I think he might just be a better dirt horse. He was really impressive here. Just sat off the pace early, made an early move to take over, and he never gave this field a chance. Just ridden out at the end. His career debut was a super impressive performance. Another trainer change here, Dan, and a little bit of a layoff, but this horse is good.
Joker Boy is the number 5. This horse came off a long layoff last time out at Los Alamitos. He probably gained a lot of fitness from that performance, an even effort against Open First Level Allowance Company. He won his first 2 starts, both at Del Mar sprinting, showing a versatile running style, and maybe he just needed that last race.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he did. It wasn't a terrible performance. I didn't think he was, sort of forward without sending for the lead, like they didn't want the lead with this horse. And then all he could do was chase after that. He never looked like he was going to win, but he also sort of looked like a horse who might have needed the race. I think he could take a step forward here.
Being based in Northern California, the number 6 Royal and Rando has spent most of his time on turf and synthetic, but during the fair season, he got an opportunity to strut his stuff on the dirt, and he seems to like it. Let's watch his race at Pleasanton, 2 starts back, 2-turn mile and 70 yards. He sat just off it. He's already taken over. He's going to win by the length of the stretch. The 4th place finisher would come back to win a first level allowance at the Sacramento Fair with a 78 buyer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Obviously, he's not beating the greatest field in the world here. It's nice to know that this horse can handle dirt, though, because he wins this race with supreme ease. A big step up in class for this horse. They're going to cut him back and switch from turf to dirt again.
Speaking of a step up in class, the 7 Creative Peak is fresh off of a maiden victory. So there are questions about class. There are questions about distance. He is quick out of the gate, and he seems to have improved in his 2 starts this year. Here's the maiden win where he was battling in between horses, and it looked like he's in deep water turning into the stretch. He's a bit one-paced at the 3/16, but he's gamely going to come after the leader, and he'll get the job done with a career best 77 buyer speed figure. The 4th place finisher would run second in his subsequent start, a maiden special at Los Al with a 79 buyer. I think the buyer is legit. He has speed. He's going to have to deal with other speed as he steps up, but I think he has some potential.
Yeah, I do too. It's not an easy spot for this horse. Not only, with the other pace surrounding him, but he has to go from 5.5 to 7. And listen, as well as he ran last time and he did improve in that race, it was still more of a win that was sort of more game than anything else. He's just going to have to do a lot better versus this field, it seems like.
The buyers are a bit light for the 8 LM Looking for Mischief, but he's another horse making his second start off of a lengthy layoff. Now, he was no match for Phineas and Slow Down Andy last year in the Golden State Juvenile. Here's his one and only start this year. It was Pleasanton sprinting in a first level open allowance. We see kind of got outrunning a little bit here, but he's going to run a little bit on in the stretch, Mike. I think it was a good performance. This is an ambitious spot.
It is ambitious. He does run okay in this race, though. And I guess, Dan, if nothing else, he sort of has the right running style for this race where it just seems like they're going to take him back, let this pace go in front of him and try to make one run into it.
Completing the field's the 9, Big City Lights, who was a very exciting 2-year-old last year and now will make his first start off a lengthy layoff for the Dick Mandela barn. Let's watch his last race. The race had tipped in 2:30, but this race is way back June 20th, 2021. He is the heavy favorite. He was able to get to the lead. He wins as much the best, sort of a carbon copy effort of his debut. Now, they had to take a neat chip out after this race. They transferred him to Mandela. He got sick. The good news is they've been planning for this race for over 2 months now.
Yeah, and he does seem to be training pretty strongly up to it. Again, it's just going to be really interesting to see what he does. He was really impressive in his 2 starts as a 2-year-old, but they were, going 4.5 and 5, Dan. So not only does he have the long layoff, and then we'll see how much everybody's caught up to him, but he's got to get 7 off the bench. There's a lot working against this horse.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Real Good Deal Stakes. It's the feature race at beautiful Del Mar on Friday. Smuggler's Run, I think, is underrated. I think he'll be a fair price, and I think he has the tactical speed to work out a trip. He has upside.
That's why I took him. I like both of his dirt races. I think he can fall into the right trip in this race. We'll see. Smuggler or the Big City Lights on the outside. He was just too tough for me to take as good as he looked as a 2-year-old. So I feel like this could actually be a pretty good spot for some of the horses who look like outsiders.
Respect the 2 favorites in here. Agree with everything you said about maybe looking for a price. I like the guts the Creative Peak showed last time out. I think he has improved with blinkers in his 2 starts this year. And again, the price will be right. He'll be forwardly placed. 4927 for Mike, 7294 for me. Have I got a real good deal for you at Del Mar? It's race number 6 on Friday. Good luck.